Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. And that's going to be for this week, WWE SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Didn't end up watching Collision because I wasn't really on my mind this week. So that's going to be skipped for this week. So we're going to start us off with WWE SmackDown. And it begins with Hardy, not Matt or Jeff, the artist who had... Oh God, he had a musical act at SummerSlam, I think. And it was god-awful. So here, he just introduces the phenomenal forearm, AJ Styles. And like, dude, I understand he's a fan of wrestling, I hope. But you gotta learn these guys' nicknames. AJ has been around for decades now. Learn his nickname. Anyway, so we get AJ Styles. He's gets on the microphone, gets a big pop like he deserves, saying, I missed you guys so much. And only fitting that I'm back in Tennessee tonight, where it all started for me. Now, I've obviously done some things I've regret, but I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm here to talk about rebuilding a legacy, because SmackDown is still the house that AJ Styles built. Now, before I go on with the rest of this promo, I just want to say, I am so happy AJ Styles is referencing his time in TNA. He started in the Tennessee Fairgrounds when TNA was doing like penny weekly pay-per-views back in the day, before their Spike deal. So, we're going to see about this. So, before AJ can continue, out comes Carmelo Hayes. Okay, I'm listening. Carmelo Hayes then says, after everything you've done, there's no bigger welcoming committee than these people. You know who I am. I've been holding SmackDown down while you were gone. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of yours. He then gets into AJ Styles' age, in which, screw you, Carmelo Hayes, saying, I heard you signed that huge Legends deal recently. While you're off doing that, guys like me deserve the U.S. title. So Hayes focusing in on the U.S. title. AJ with a heck of a comeback. And let me give you some friendly advice. LA Knight is relentless. The man came to my house. We had a grand old WrestleMania match. Then Hayes reveals, I don't take advice from quitters. This is AJ Styles saying, you think you're that good? Wouldn't you be U.S. champion now if you were? Hayes with a hell of a comeback saying, if you were that phenomenal, you'd be WWE champion right now. Oh. Then AJ Styles says, hey, we got everything we need here. We got us. We got a ring. We just need a ref. Why don't we fight right here, right now? And Hayes replies, nah, I'm good. Gets out of the ring, goes to walk up the ramp. Out comes United States Champion LA Knight. Yeah. Saying, by God, this is a familiar sight. Carmelo Hayes being issued a challenge and him running for the hills. AJ, I just want to say, I don't really like you, but I respect you. You've been through the grind. And Hayes, you've been busy misleading everyone. So let's look here at this situation. Because either way, Hayes, you're getting stomped out tonight. But let's make this interesting. Because if you beat AJ Styles tonight, I'll get you the shot you deserve. And then we get interesting little promo battle, and including AJ Styles in the US title scene. Not a bad idea. A bit of a drop down from the WWE title scene, but still pretty interesting. Then we get a very interesting vignette in which it's just cars rolling around, rock music, generic rock music playing. Then we see a couple guys in shadow walking around. Then we see a couple of buildings. Now, for all I've seen, it could be nondescript. But what we saw at Bad Blood, I won't be saying it right now. I think it's a couple of dudes from here. And if you know, you know. And if you don't, it's Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns. Oh, I can't believe they're finally coming to the WWE. This is going to be great. So we get into our first matchup of the evening as it's Carmelo Hayes taking on the phenomenal AJ Styles. And this match was very weird because it started out really good back and forth. One point, Styles goes for a kind of middle rope moonsault, but then he misses. He lands on his feet. Looked like he kind of buckled a little bit. But then Hayes hit him with a cutter. They kind of go back and forth for a little bit more. Hayes with a great looking Boston Crab. But then I don't really know what happens. I think it was after a neck breaker by Styles. Styles ended up staying down, hanging on to his leg. So the ref calls out the match, puts up the big old X. So it looks like we got an injury. The doctors are in checking on AJ Styles. It is then announced that AJ Styles is no longer able to compete, so your winner is Carmelo Hayes. Post-match is a big old BFT by LA Knight to close the segment. And yeah, I hope AJ Styles isn't out for too long, because I heard that was a real injury. I think he tore his ACL or something. So feel better soon, AJ Styles. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time. After that, we get a little hype video for Bad Blood, especially the tag team match between the Bloodline, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Then we see, in the back, we see DIY getting ready for their main event. And, we'll get there. But next match up, we get a dumpster match as we see Mia Yim take on Chelsea Green. And I'm going to preface this. Chelsea Green's outfit is amazing. She's got, garbage worker clothes. Her cape is a garbage bag. Like, they went all in on this. And honestly, this was fantastic. They used, conventional weapons, kendo sticks, chairs, what have you. Then they took the trash bags from the dumpster and started using that. Countering some defeats. Chelsea Green with a destroyer, which that looked gnarly. One point we see Mia Yim put a table over the opening to the dumpster, which we're going to get there. A couple points, we see Chelsea Green try to suplex Mia Yim in. Mia Yim fights out. Eventually, Piper Niven comes out, but Mia Yim fights her off, which, interesting. Eventually, Mia Yim with a powerbomb from the apron through the table into the dumpster with both inside. Mia Yim then pops up, gets out of the dumpster, closes the lid. So your winner, Mia Yim. This was a whole lot of fun. Both talents deserve all the praise in the world. This was maybe not a classic wrestling match, but this was a fun plunder match with a very unique stipulation. I don't remember the last time I saw a dumpster match. It's definitely been a little while. Then we see AJ Styles. He's in the back. He's got his knee all taped up, being checked out by the doctors in the arena. It is then revealed that was actually taped a little earlier, and he's actually in the hospital. So, yeah, that tells me that this injury is pretty darn real, and I hope he's okay. So next we see in the back, it's Naomi. She's working out. She's getting ready for her bout. In walks Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, saying, what are we going to do about Tiffany? And while she always gets to talk back, I'm going to get the win tonight. And after, we're going out. They start dancing a little bit. Then in walks Bayley with the most mom dance I've ever seen, saying to them, look, I gotta talk to her real quick. And actually you see Jade and Bianca be like, excuse you? Showing that, with their history, they're not just gonna forgive her, Bayley, for what she's done to them in the past. Which, I love little things like that. Bayley then reveals to Naomi that tonight I'm going to go call out Nia Jax. And then when I win the title, you're my first shot. They kind of hug. Naomi's kind of like, okay. Then we see the Street Profits in the back. They're getting ready for their match, which is also the DIY match. It's going to be a ladder match for the tag titles. We'll get to that one in a bit. So then we get an in-ring promo by Bayley, saying that in 24 hours at Bad Blood, I'm going to get the opportunity to get my title back. So let's stop beating around the bush. Nia, I'm calling you out, and you could bring your little buddy Tiffany with you. Because right now, I got something to say to your face. Music doesn't hit. Nia doesn't come at first. Bayley's like, okay, we're all waiting for you. Then Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton come out. They got a microphone with Nia saying, Bayley, if you got something to say to me, say it straight to my face. Isn't that what you wanted? Like, I'm sorry. I think something might have got lost in translation with this, but something felt off with that. I don't know. Anyway, Bayley then says, as long as I've known you, you've never understood the significance of the title. I've saw legends hold the title, but you make them seem more human, but that isn't you. One thing they didn't have, a dominant title reign. And the facts are, there are currently 2 people in this arena tonight that can take it from you. One of them, obviously me, and I plan to take it tomorrow. The second one, although she might not be as skilled as me, Tiffany Stratton, but the only reason she can is because of that briefcase. And eventually she's going to snap, she's going to betray you, and she's going to take your title. Then Nia kind of turns to Stratton. Stratton gets on the mic, says, "Look, I need you to say something. Are you saying I'm not good enough to win the title on my own? I don't need this case to beat Nia." Then Nia just full on mean bugging Tiffany Stratton. Stratton then gets back on the mic, says, "You know what? Instead of trying to break us up, why not try just bowing down to your queen?" Bayley then says, "Are you out of your goddamn mind? While I have some respect for Nia, I have zero for you." And then as Tiffany and Nia are leaving the ring, Bayley goes to take out Tiffany, but then Nia fights back. Nia tries for a senton, whiffs. Tiffany with some Money in the Bank shots, including a knee with it in front of her. Then Tiffany sees the situation she's in. Both are down. She's looking for a referee. It looks like she's about to cash in. Then Nia just kind of sits up, turns and looks at her. "Oh, you in trouble now." Nia then leaves the ring. Out comes Naomi. And they're going to have their match in a little bit. But before that happens is some great character work by Chelsea Green as she and Piper Niven, they're walking in the back. They run into other superstars. And they're all like, "Oh, pew, what is that?" With Green still covered in garbage from the dumpster match. And then for whatever reason, I forget who it was. It was Pretty Deadly who were in the back. Theory and Waller. For some reason, Austin Theory had a chocolate cake, which, that was weird. Then Legado del Fantasma, they kind of run off. Then Green and Niven run into Nick Aldis, who just brings the puns, in which, I'm sorry I don't have them written down. But, it is insulting enough that Green pretty much walks off. Then in comes Carmelo Hayes saying, "Alright, I beat AJ Styles. Where's my title shot?" Then Aldis kind of gives him an inquisitive look, saying, "You think you get your title shot after that? Look, I'm going to go to the hospital, check on AJ, then we'll talk about this match." So Hayes potentially getting a U.S. title match in the future. I'm all about it. We then go to our next matchup of the evening, as it's Naomi taking on Tiffany Stratton for the millionth time. And while the match itself was fine, something just seemed really, really, really off. I don't know what it was, but they just didn't work together all that well. With Naomi missing on a moonsault, then Tiffany Stratton missing on the prettiest moonsault ever. Tiffany going for a full Nelson that gets blocked into a roll-up for the win by Naomi. And I don't know if Naomi really needed another a win like this. I really do hate when they do this to the Money in the Bank winners. But I guess we'll see what happens. So next up, we see the full force of the Bloodline. So that's Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and Tama Tonga Tongaloa. With Jacob Fatu pretty much saying, we love our tribal chief. DIY, Street Profits, even Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. You will learn to love and respect our tribal chief. And if you don't, at the end of the day, you will learn to acknowledge our tribal chief, Solo Sikoa. That leads to the entrance to Tanga Loa for the main event. Before that happens, we see Tiffany Stratton. She's kind of milling about in the back. She looks a little defeated. She runs into Nia Jax, who asked her pretty much point blank, Tiffany, were you trying to cash in on me tonight? Then Tiffany just kind of gives her a, no, I wouldn't think of it. So, Nia gives some advice saying you should focus on Rhea versus Liv. That cash in you could actually survive. Which, pretty ominous words. With Nia continuing, tell me now you'll never betray me. Then Tiffany replies, of course I won't. I would never think of it. Nia leaves. Then Tiffany, her Money in the Bank case in hand, just looks down at it. And I'm going to say this, that was a nice little bit of character work by Tiffany. The conflict is there. And the eventual face turn, it's going to be a lot of fun. We then get to our main event of WWE SmackDown. And it's for the WWE Tag Team titles contested in a ladder match. With the goal being not pinfall, not submission, although you could use it to wear down your opponents. But the goal is to climb the ladder, take down the titles which are hanging above the ring. Our competitors, Tama Tonga Loa of the Bloodline, DIY, that's Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, and the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. And right as the bell rings, DIY and the Street Profits gang up on the Bloodline for a little bit. Each try to go up the ladder, but gets stopped by the Bloodline. Lots of ladder spots, which that's interesting to see, including at one point you have two ladders set up kind of like this, with two ladders set up in the corners, like laying down in front of the corners. I think it was the Street Profits going up, then the Bloodline stopped them by pretty much powerbombing them through the ladders set up in the corners. Lots of good action that I feel like was a lot of fun, including a couple of table spots and a triple powerbomb by DIY and Angelo Dawkins to Tanga Loa. Looks like DIY were going to win the tag titles. Street Profits end up stopping them. Then the Street Profits get dumped off their ladder by Tanga Loa, who then goes up, then stands on top of the ladder. So he's not like a couple rungs down. He's standing at the tippy top and doesn't just unhook the titles from the apparatus. He takes the entire apparatus down. So your winners still the WWE Tag Team Champions, Tama Tonga Loa. And as they're celebrating, out comes Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. So they throw up the ones on the ramp. So, yeah, very interesting way to finish up SmackDown. That was honestly a really, really good episode. Not a lot of build for Bad Blood, which was the following evening, which was very, very interesting. But Yeah, that honestly, I'm gonna say this: that triple threat ladder match should have been on the pay-per-view. And like, I know, I know Triple H like his 5-match format, but this match or Sammy versus Gunther could have replaced something I'm gonna reveal tomorrow, which was very pointless. And that's the only tease I'll give. So then we go from WWE SmackDown to AEW Rampage, which was a very interesting show, kicking us off with trios action as we see the Young Bucks, the current AEW Tag Team Champions, and Jack Perry, the current TNT Champion, taking on Private Party and Katsuyori Shibata, their challengers for Wrestle Dream next weekend. Not this weekend, this coming weekend. And honestly, this match was a whole lot of fun. Really good back and forth between all the teams, including, Private Party and the Bucks. In which, if you remember the second episode of Dynamite ever, they had an absolute banger. And here, they pretty much picked up where they left off. And they're throwing pretty much bombs at one another, including a gin and juice that only gets a 2 count. They try for the silly string, but that gets countered into a couple of superplexes. An EVP trigger. They try for the TK driver, but Shibata gets in the way. With eventually Mark Quinn hitting the roll-up on Matthew Jackson to pick up the win. So it looks like we are getting some decent challengers for the Bucks. In which I'm gonna say this, I kind of hope Private Party win. So, nice little opener. I can't remember the last time the Young Bucks were on Rampage. It has definitely been a while. So next up, we cut to backstage for a Chris Statlander interview. Pretty much says, that street fight was an era for me and Stokely Hathaway. Back when we started, I saw the toughest, strongest people I knew. Then in walks Camille, of all people. She looks right into Statlander's eyes and says, "Really? It's not you. Just watch." Then Camille leaves. Mercedes Moné comes into frame. Says, "Bitch." So Mercedes Moné taking some tips from Okada, which I am pretty much a fan of. We then get an backstage interview in a different part of backstage from Harley Cameron, which she's alone, no Saraya. But she says, "My opponent was cowardly. No further questions. Although I should say something about my match. Aminata, tonight you're in a lot of trouble." So she's kind of going through a little bit of a Abyss Joseph Park story where she's like kind of losing her mind, but then she might have a calmer side to her. I don't know. This is definitely going to be interesting. So next match, we get Camille taking on Zoe Lynn. This was the Camille show, hitting a big old spear and a reverse DDT. I did not catch what she calls it, but yeah, your winner in about a few seconds is Camille. And don't get me wrong, I love a good squash match every now and again. That's kind of been Rampage's MO for a while now, and I do hope they get away from this for a little while. So, next up, we got an Anna Jay interview. Again in the back. where she says, I should probably say I've heard some nice things from Mr. Ospreay, so I just want to say thank you, Will. Seeing your hard work pay off is everything in this business. So Deonna Purrazzo, try me. So then we get a Deonna Purrazzo promo. She's kind of sitting kind of near gorilla position, I guess, with Taya Valkyrie. And she pretty much says, those who give respect, get respect. And, our last outing, Aminata, you earned my respect. There's a lot left to learn. And we're going to teach them together. And to get respect, you got to give respect. So, there's definitely, hopefully something bigger coming for the Purrazzo Taya Valkyrie team. And I'm not sure what it could be. I'm really not. We then get to this next matchup as it's Harley Cameron taking on Queen Aminata. And I'm going to say this match started off a little bit slowly. Eventually it did build up a bit. With Harley Cameron going for the white noise. Queen Aminata with the roll-up, only getting a 2 count. Queen Aminata with the backbreaker into the Queen's Crown to pick up the victory. I like that they're pushing Aminata a bit. Hopefully she gets to a title match sooner rather than later, because she's been putting in the work. Post-match, you see Serena Deeb attacking Aminata from behind, with Dr. Britt Baker making the save. So, it looks like this loose alliance is going to continue, with maybe Aminata picking Dr. Baker as her mentor, which definitely could be interesting. Then we get an interview from the Acclaimed, mostly from Billy Gunn, who says, how stupid are you? MXM, you were trying to embarrass us. This is now popping off. We value ourselves. We shut you up. And once we step into the ring with one another, we'll give you a makeover of a lifetime. Which, that's definitely going to be an interesting little matchup. I am here for it. We then go to our main event of the evening. We got the conglomeration, that's Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy, taking on the Learning Tree of Brian Keith and Big Bill. And I'm going to tell you, this was a fun little matchup. Especially Kyle O'Reilly and Brian Keith. They worked really, really well together. Big Bill doing his big guy stuff is really good. Eventually we have Kyle O'Reilly getting Brian Keith in an ankle lock. Then Chris Jericho, who was on commentary this whole time, gets up from commentary, runs all the way down to the ring, onto the apron. He distracted the ref. Then out comes Rocky Romero, who is apparently an associate of the conglomeration, takes Jericho out. Kyle O'Reilly with a big boot hits a big old dive on Brian Keith. A high-low orange punch combination from Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy to pick up the win. Definitely a creative way to finish a match with a tag finisher for people who don't normally tag. But it was a little bit sloppy on the end. Hopefully they can work out some kinks and make that look a whole lot better. Overall, very fun week of pro wrestling. This week is going to be very, very interesting because tonight is our first Raw that's going to be only 2 hours since 2012 when the 3-hour Raw started, in which it's been that long. Jesus. Next, on Tuesday, we have AEW Title Tuesday with Dynamite being bumped from its usual Wednesday spot for Major League Baseball. So, probably end up catching and covering that. And, the rest of the week should be normal. So, hope you come around to check it out. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.